Hello guitar nerds, what's up? Hi, it's Pete Thorn. Welcome to my studio, and I hold in my hand here the Atomic Ampli-Firebox. Super cool unit. You heard it on all the guitar parts on that track at the beginning of the video. I'm really excited about this thing. I think it's a great piece of gear, and I'm going to tell you all about it now. Now, you probably know about it if you're watching this video, but if you don't, I know it looks just like a stomp box, but it's so much more. This thing is a full-featured amp modeler in a stomp box. That's basically what this is. It's got full-on amp modeling. You can store 9 presets in it. It's also got full-on cabinet modeling. It hosts impulse responses. And it's got a nice, simple sort of array of effects built in, like delay and echo, reverb, compression, EQ, and a bunch of boost and distortion type effects. So incredibly powerful and simple to use all at the same time. So let's get into some of the uses for this thing. First of all, straight up amp modeling. When you load up an amp model, and there's, like I say, 9 presets, 9 different amp models built in, all the way from clean through to all the way dirty, crunchy, super saturated. When you load up an amp model, it loads with a corresponding cabinet that you would sort of expect for that amp model. In other words, with the sort of British style stack amps, there's a 412 type cabinet, or with a, say, an AC30 top boost style, you're going to get an open back 212 with blues, that kind of thing. But amazing thing about this, and one of the things I love about it the most, is that they've allowed you to load your own impulse responses into it. I think that's so cool, because speaker simulation is such a huge deal. You guys probably know, I think, that it's the overall filter on your whole sound. So the fact that if you've got like a really great impulse response, third-party one from a company that produces them, or maybe one you made yourself, you can load them into this thing and use them with any of the amp models. Or you can disable the amp models and just use this thing as an impulse response loader and maybe add some effects. So why is that cool? Well, not only is this an amp modeler with cabinet modeling, but if you can disable the amp models and just use it for IRs, now you can use this thing with a real amplifier, or maybe a preamp of your choice or something. With a real amp, you could use a reactive load, take a line out, go into this guy, come out of it into the PA or into your recorder, and this becomes your cabinet modeling, basically, and maybe some simple effects if you want to add some reverb and delay. So a whole bunch of different ways you can use this thing. If nothing else, one thing that I was thinking that you can use this thing for is, even if you use a traditional amplifier rig, this is your ultimate backup right here. I mean, just imagine you can have, you know, a whole bunch of amp models on deck and stuff, and if you know, everything goes awry at a gig or something like that with your amp rig, you can plug this into the PA, or maybe into you know, an amplifier effect returner or a power amp in a cabinet, and you're still rocking. So that's extremely cool. And did I mention yet? I don't think I did. $299. $2.99. So cheap. So there's a lot of things I really like about this thing, and I'm definitely thinking of all the uses, you know, right now, and one of them is definitely that. You know, I'm an amp guy. I love my amps, obviously, you know, but everybody's got to have a great backup sometimes. So for gigs, if I'm using real amp, I'm always going to have this thing with me, I think. It just makes so much sense. So there's 9 amp models in it, and you can have sort of 9 presets, okay? And wherever you left the knobs the last time that you were on a setting, that's where it comes up again. Well, you know, it sort of stores on the fly, which I think is really, really cool. Now, you can either bypass the unit and then turn it on using this switch, or you can set it in what's called AB mode, and that's simply done by holding down the switch for a couple seconds. Then what happens is you can toggle between 2 different presets. So essentially you could have, let's say, a clean amp and a dirty amp, or crunchy amp and a dirty amp with, you know, a ton of sustain and some delay or something like that for solos. So it really is kind of like having a little 2 amp rig in a pedal. This other switch here is boost. Okay, so you can turn that on and off, and you know, get like a TS9 style, or another variety of overdrive or distortion, or a clean boost, that kind of thing. So you can do that with that switch. But you can also, using their excellent software editor, assign this switch to do other things. So I don't want to get too much into, you know, as is my style in these videos, I don't want to get too much into explaining every single feature and every single detail. For that, you can go to the website and check it out. It really is pretty simple to use and understand. So, you know, you'll see the website on your screen there. Go check it out if you want to know everything about it. I'm going to keep this video mainly about music and about breaking down that song that I did at the beginning of the video, so that I can show you all the different ways that I used this thing. So getting on to that, I used it as a modeler in that track at the beginning of the video. You know, just use stock cab sims and some of the, you know, stock amp models and all that stuff. Just tweaked it until it sounded good. And so some of the sounds are that. Some of the sounds, I also used my real, I've got a Marshall 72 50 watt up here, and I thought, I haven't used it in a video yet, I just got it, so I had to use it. So I ran it into my Sur reactive load, took the line out into this guy, and just used this for some cab modeling and to add a little bit of effects. So some of the sounds are that, you're going to hear that in a minute. I also did some of the internal amp models and added my own impulse responses to those, so you can hear what those sound like. And what's the last? Oh yeah, so the last thing I did, it's another really cool thing about this thing. You could use this as basically like a preamp, run it into a power amp, and then out into a cabinet, and mic up a cabinet traditionally. So this becomes all your tone shaping, and now you've got kind of a mic'd up guitar sound. So the last solo in the song at the beginning of the video was done that way. Mic'd up cabinet. This was my preamp. I ran it into a Matrix power amp, and I disabled the cabinet simulation in this, and so you're hearing a real cab. So, last thing about that I'll say before we get on to the sound examples here. Inputs on the side here, you got 2 outputs, XLR and 1/4 inch output. There's a switch here that allows you to pick whether you want cabinet modeling on the XLR out, the 1/4 inch out, or both of them at the same time. I think that that's super cool, because if you wanted to use this thing as a preamp into a power amp, you want to be able to disable the cabinet modeling, because you can use a real cab. It was easy to do, you just flip the switch. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of different uses for that. Let's say I maybe want to use this thing with a real guitar amplifier and a reactive load, and I want to send some cabinet sims to the house, but I want to reamp through a power amp and maybe use a guitar cabinet with my real amp as well, but at a nice reasonable volume. No problem, you can totally do that just by selecting cab sim on one of the outputs, but not the other one. The one with the cab sim goes to the house, the other one's going to go out to your power amp into a speaker cabinet that you can mic up or just use it to monitor. Anyway, you get the idea. It's super versatile, it's really easy to use. I dig it. Let's get on to some sound examples. I'll break down all the parts from the song at the beginning of the video now. There's going to be text on the screen to tell you exactly what's happening with each part and how I use the box. And let's get to it. All right, here we go. It is the Atomic Ampli-Firebox. that was my video for the Atomic Ampli-Firebox. Just a terrific unit, full-featured amp modeling in a pedal. What's not to like? That is just super cool, I think. I'm going to find tons of uses for this thing. I thought it sounded great in the track at the beginning of the video, and I've only been using it for a couple days. Easy to use, sounds great, $2.99. I dig it. All right, you can check it out further at the website you see there on your screen. And hey, please hit subscribe if you haven't already, and come back and see me for more videos real soon. I am Pete Thorn. Over and out.